This is Michael Tucker, and you're watching the new Legends on Deck podcast with host Brian Koss and David Conde.
That's right. The 2021 champions go to the Utica Unicorns. This is the third straight victory for the Unicorns, the fourth total overall. I mean, you guys, that was quite a way to finish. I think my heart's still racing. I'm sweating a little bit here. Awesome way to go out in the true Unicorns fashion to prove that you guys are really the true champions, right? Yes. All right. Well, first off, we're going to go to Andy Appleby. He's the owner, commissioner, and CEO. So I'm going to let Andy say a few words.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. It is 4-1 with the Diamond Hoppers on top, but the second half of the season has officially begun, and that means the championship is on these guys' radars. Last night, the Beavers beat the Utica Unicorns, which means the Beavers are your brand new USPBL league champion, or league leaders, I should say, pushing past those Unicorns who have held the title as being league leaders since pretty much the very beginning of the season. So far, the Beavers have won 6 of their last 8 games, and their manager, Chris Newell, he likes to keep the second half of the season exciting, which probably means why they're back-to-back champs. So it's going to be an exciting end of the season, but let's see how the rest of this game ends up. Guys, back to you.
Hello, Tigers fans. My name is Chelsea, and I am your host for Tigers TV. Welcome to the 2016 Detroit Tigers Tiger Fest. It is a cold day here in Detroit, but with all of these fans out here, I know Comerica Park is sure to warm up soon. Tiger fans, are you guys ready for Tiger Fest? You girls just met Miguel Cabrera. You're just still beaming with excitement. Tell me, what was it like?
It was really cool.
I think it looks harder than it looks, huh?
It is a lot harder than it looks. I'm here with Brian Holliday and Annabelle Sanchez. They're about to start off in a lip sync battle. Now, what have you guys been doing to prepare for this?
I just picked one song that I know, probably that I hear every single day when I work out.
As Tiger Fest comes to a close, there are hundreds of Tiger fans that left with autographed baseballs and memories that will last them a lifetime. It was the perfect send-off for the Tigers as they prepare for their 2016 season down in Lakeland, Florida. I will see you all opening day, Tiger fans, and the road starts here. Hey there, Tiger fans. This is Chelsea, and I am your reporter for Tigers TV. It is the best week of the year because baseball is back in Detroit, and I'm here with some of your favorite Tigers players as we get ready to kick off the 2016 Winter Caribbean. Jared and I are at the Livonia Fire Department, and him and I just went 100 feet up in the bucket ladder. So, Jared, how was it?
It was crazy. I mean, once-in-a-lifetime experience, something that I don't think I would have ever done, but it was
Special day here at the arena. It is ALS Awareness Day for a very special friend of mine, Tom Ford. All fans today, when they came in, got a blue wristband for ALS, and we also are wearing these blue ribbons. It's a brand new year, 2018. A lot of people are setting resolutions, but I saw that a lot of people are trying to think of one strong word that's maybe encouraging. Now, what would be one word that you could maybe say to your past athletes, coaches, and all of these supporting fans of you at Oakland, your Oakland community? What would be that one word that you could give them to live by for 2018?
I don't know if it was one word exactly.
Or phrase.
But every second counts. Whatever you do, make it count. Because you don't know. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. So you better make sure you take care of what you're doing in the present.
That's probably the best advice. Oakland fans, make every second count, and we'll be right back. Oakland University's swim team has found much success in the pool this season. The men are going for their 38th Horizon League title, while the women are going for their 23rd. If the off. This would make it their third straight Horizon League title. Now, we will all find out if this happens tonight when the finals start at 5:30 right here at Oakland. Now back to basketball and back to you, Neil. It's hard to believe that the women's basketball team are wrapping up their regular season this Saturday against conference leaders Greenway.
Welcome to episode 12 of the Legends on Deck podcast. I'm Brian Koss. We have our co-founder, David Conde, and a special guest today, Chelsea Cooper. She is the in-game host at the United Shore Professional Baseball League, which is an independent league in the suburbs of Detroit. And she does a whole bunch of other really cool things in the media sphere as it relates to sports, but she also worked for the Detroit Tigers for about 5 years as well. So she's going to welcome Chelsea.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being a part of our growing show.
Yes.
I love it. I'm glad I get to be a part of the journey.
So let me ask you a question. Well, of course, we can ask questions, but let me,
yes.
You know, we know you have a passion for sports, you know, as Brian mentioned, and you're involved in different areas. What brought you to being involved in sports, you know, growing up were you involved in different aspects of playing the game or playing different sports? And were there anyone in your life that kind of directed you in that area? And how is it like? Give us like the whole big history on it.
It's actually really funny. I'm athletic, but I didn't really play sports growing up. I was a dancer, and the whole debate of dance as a sport, that's a whole other topic. But so I danced my whole life, and my brother, you know, he played sports. He did t-ball and soccer, and in high school he played football, and he rowed for his high school. So I would go and watch him, but you know, I always was intrigued with sports. My dad is a huge Michigan football fan, so we would go college, you know, Saturdays we would go to football games. And so, but he always had sports on. Sports was always on in the background, you know, baseball in summer, football in winter. And so I think that's it was always around. And it was just something that I always liked to watch. You know, a lot of my friends played sports, but I was, you know, on the sidelines cheering, and that was more of my role. And then I think just the older I got, there was one summer in particular, I just kept getting tickets to go to Tigers games. And it just I liked going. I thought it was fun. And then I was at the Tigers game, and I saw that they had these dancers or these cheerleaders, which was the Detroit Tigers energy squad. And so that kind of married my love for dance and baseball in the city of Detroit. It just was a recipe for one really great opportunity. And so that was a few years later after I initially saw it. But so it just stuck with me, and I just really grew to get to know the game of baseball, the fans, you know, even the workers there. It was just so much greatness. And that just really solidified my love for baseball. And I love baseball so much. And there's just so many great moments that I think come from baseball. My husband played baseball in college and in the pros for a little bit. So it's really, you know, the older I got, I think
we got to interview him.
I should call him. So yeah, so I think the older I got, I really started to appreciate the game. And then as well too, as we'll talk about, there's other sides to baseball that really also caught my interest. So it's kind of how it all initially started.
That's awesome you say that, because you know we tell everybody when we bring them on the podcast that we started the site because we followed all the minor leaguers. Like I used to write for a Mets site, and I'm a Mets fan, but I would only cover the Mets. But when the guys left, you really didn't cover them. So we started Legends on Deck because of that. And then over the years, we've just evolved. And Brian and I always talk about, hey, what else can we do to really bring light to baseball? And now we start, you know, covering amateur baseball. And I mean, I coach in little leagues. We cover that. And I mean, now what you're doing, and I found you, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. Someone that's, you know, in the game too and doing the media side. So it's awesome.
It's been such a really cool journey, and just kind of how I got interested in it. It started when I was at the Tigers, and you know, I got the energy squad gig, and I remember it was 2013, and we had our opening day run through practice. So the whole squad was there, we were getting pumped. Opening day was the next day, but it wasn't just us at this run through. I noticed that they had these two beautiful girls, and they were on the dugout. They had a microphone, and this was 2013 when the Tigers incorporated the in-game host element to their game day production. And I remember sitting there saying, I want to do that one day. And I had no idea how I would do it because, you know, at that point, I just graduated college with an elementary education degree. So no communications, no journalism, nothing in that field. So I was like, that's a great dream. That'd be awesome. But, you know, and so, that really kind of just sparked the passion for this in-game host desire of trying to get to that level. So the Tigers started again too.
No, that's really cool. Yeah. So I mentioned to you that I'm a Detroit area native. Yep. Grew up as a Tigers fan, going to games dates me a little bit, but at Old Tiger Stadium when I was younger. And I must have been in high school when they built Comerica Park. But those years that you started working there, so, you know, the Tigers were horrible in the 90s. They're good. You know, they started by 2006, they went to the World Series. So at that period of time, that 10-year stretch from 05, 06 to 2016, basically, or 17, when they start selling the team away. You had Justin Verlander, you had Miguel Cabrera with the Triple Crown, you had Max Scherzer, David Price. I mean, the team was loaded. And and 2012 was the year you started?
I did. Yep. 2012. I was just graduating college, and I got the call of, you're going to be an energy squad for the 2012 season. So yeah, that's when it started.
So it starts in 2012, which is the year they go to the World Series.
Yep.
Right. And also that's the year that Miguel Cabrera hits the Triple Crown too.
Yep.
So I mean, like, the perfect season to start if you weren't into baseball before, you were definitely going to be into baseball by the end of that season.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we call those the glory years. It was so much fun. Like, I would get excited. I'd wake up. I'm like, I get to go to the game today. I'm so excited as an energy squad member, because I mean, we were at the heart of the game. The fans, we were greeting them, we were interacting with them, but like those baseball moments that we got to see. I mean, again, I think I've seen, you know, playoffs and World Series, and not even major league players get to go to those. So it's kind of cool to say, like, hey, I went there.
Right. Not only you went there, you're part of it, right?
As a part of it.
You're part of the production.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I remember going to opening day in those years, and there was like 2 million people packed in downtown Detroit.
Oh, it's a party.
You know, it was like, I mean, opening day is always a big deal, but when you go to the World Series the year before, or when you're in a pennant race every year, it was a huge deal.
It was. We always call opening day it's an unofficial holiday in Detroit. So many people take work off. And...
I used to.
We did that. We did that in New York too.
No
one really knew about it. I was called out sick. I can say that now. They don't. You know, they'll
they don't know unheard them, right?
Right.
So how was your interaction with the fans in Detroit? Like, what type of interaction do you actually have?
Oh man. It was great. I mean, especially at that time frame, there's so much passion and excitement for the team. The fans were engaged in every game. They were just pumped and ready, because they knew every time they came to a game, they never knew what they were going to see. In 2012, I remember it was earlier in the season. It was one of my first few games, and it was an almost Justin Verlander no-hitter. And that was, I think it was a Friday night. So we had that buzz in the air. And it was just awesome. I mean, it was electric. You'd think it was a playoff game. And I remember that was my first clip on TV. They got me jumping up and down. So it was like one of my first clips of me on TV too. But I remember, like, we were, you know, it was towards the end of the game. He was still going, and we were in the tunnel because we were going to come out and do something after the game. And you heard the, because it didn't happen. But I mean, every game, the fans were just so excited. Just really great down-to-earth people. The people of Detroit are passionate fans, from the Tigers to the Lions to the Pistons. We're passionate sports fans. And that's what I worked with every single time we went out there for a game. And those fans made it awesome, all the way to the playoffs until the end.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I can't say I did any of that in New York, but it sounds amazing to be done in Detroit.
You want to come to Detroit next? Give us a few years. So we're good, but and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, I'll come in the summertime, right? Because obviously baseball only gets played when it's hot, but I'm assuming the weather gets a little different in the winter. I might just stay in Florida.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, yeah.
absolutely.
That's why.
And
we're
then
in
like
Florida.
for World Series, the 2012, I remember it was October. In October in Michigan, you could get super lucky and it's kind of still warm, or you're gonna have snow and freezing, and that's what we got for the World Series. It was cold. There was like ice pellets, but we were like, stuffed in our jackets, but just the excitement kept us warm. But yeah,
you would have think that would have slowed. You would have think that would have slowed the Giants down a little bit, but it didn't. It slowed the Tigers down.
It was not our year. It was not our time, unfortunately.
So you worked with the Tigers for about 5 seasons, right?
Yeah.
And then you find yourself, well, you're gonna lead into it, but kind of going to independent baseball, doing the in game with the United Shore Professional Baseball League. That's in Utica, Michigan, right? So kind of get an idea, how did you go from the Tigers to there? What led you there, and kind of the experience of what you're doing there now?
Yeah. So like I said, with being at the Tigers, you meet so many incredible people. Great season ticket holders, people from all over the area and different professions. And it was this point, I remember I went to school to be a teacher. I kind of realized, I don't know if I want to be a teacher anymore. I mean, you can relate, right? And so I had that moment of, what am I going to do? And so I came across this one season ticket holder, and he said, hey, look, I work at a local college called Oakland University. And he says, if there's a position in that might interest you, let me know and we'll see what we can do. And there was a position in the athletics department. It kind of sounded similar to what I was doing at the Tigers, like the coordinating stuff. I was like, this sounds fun. I kind of do this at the Tigers. Let's see if I can do it over here. And so ultimately I got the interview, but halfway through I was like, this is not what I thought. But I stuck out the interview. The guys who interviewed were awesome. So ultimately, they called me about 3 weeks later. I didn't get the job, which I was thankful for. And but he said, hey, we like your resume, we like your background, we like your energy. What if you can be our sideline reporter for Oakland University basketball? And I was like, this is my chance. This is my ticket into this industry that I thought was never going to happen. And so ultimately, I covered Oakland basketball for some time, and that was the biggest learning curve of my life, being a host, a reporter. It was kind of good to get my feet wet because like I said, I had no background, no experience, even looking in front of a camera. I didn't know how to hold a mic. I held a mic up like this for a while. So lots of learning opportunities there. And so ultimately the guy who hired me, became a close friend, but he actually left Oakland and went over to United Shore Professional Baseball League. And so he was there for a year, and then I called him up and said, hey, if there's an opportunity for me, I'd love to be a host or reporter, anything you got, let me know. And he said, you're in, come in, let's get you an interview for in-game host, but I know you can do it. And so ultimately that kind of was my ticket to get into independent baseball. And I'm currently in my 4th year with USPBL. So it's been lots of learning curves, even from my first year till now. Just I feel more confident in myself, being able to interview the players, my knowledge of the game, and the fans. Everything has just really progressed from Oakland to now. It's been very humbling to kind of sit back and watch those first few videos of when I just shanked an interview to now I can interview and it's easy breezy. So it's been a great learning, but really, really fun baseball moments too.
Very cool. Yeah, I was. And another connection now, we have Oakland University. I'm an Oakland U alum.
Oh,
so, yeah. So I was there 02 to 06.
Okay.
So you were there a little bit after doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, good basketball environment, really. The arena.
Oh yeah, blacktop. They got one of the only blacktop
court.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now Greg Campy, he's been coaching there for what, 40 years?
Yeah, I think he's still there. He's still kicking.
He is.
He's a character.
Yeah.
one of a kind.
I'll bet.
I have one question when throwing down the in-game. Now, you went from doing the Tigers independent. If a call came tomorrow and said, we want you to be the in-house or the on-field entertainment reporter for the New York Mets. You jumping on that, right?
Yeah, I would really consider it.
Yeah.
Those Mets are good, and you guys have James McCann right now.
Yes, that's right.
I love James. James is a great guy. I met him a few times. I actually met his wife too. It's a great family. So I like the Mets because I like James McCann. He's a great guy.
That's okay. I can say I like some other teams because I like Cabrera. So I still rooting for them. Baseball. We do. Let's not think we do all teams.
We do all teams here.
That's
absolutely.
right. That's
So
right.
I want to give our listeners a little bit, if they don't have any background with the United Shore League. So
Yeah.
it's a really interesting concept for, some, I don't know if you'd call it semi-pro baseball or amateur. I guess it would be semi-pro baseball, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
As an independent league. It's not affiliated with Major League Baseball in that way. So they're not part of a farm system, but they've got, now there are 4 teams.
Yes.
4 teams. I'm pretty good at this. The Utica Unicorns.
Yep.
Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers.
Yep.
The East Side Diamond Hoppers. And the West Side Woolly Mammoths.
Correct.
I love these names.
That's
amazing names.
Absolutely. Right.
Actually, the Mammoths, the West Side Woolly Mammoths last year, I think they got named. It was some minor league baseball article as like one of the top baseball names and uniforms. I want to say.
I believe it.
I think it was last year.
Very cool.
I remember we acknowledged it, and they wear these one jerseys that kind of look like Flintstones. They're like bright orange. Like those are my favorite. Yeah.
So the 4 teams, they play at Jimmy John's Park there.
Yeah.
And so as there's a Thursday through Saturday schedule basically. And they play, each other, I would assume like every other day or something like that.
They rotate each other. Saturdays are double headers, so they will see each other again. But they play each other a lot. It all evens out how many times they see each other. But
And the league looks like it's produced a number of quite a few players that have gone on to play to get signed by a major league team and at least play in the farm system.
Oh, absolutely. There's one, Randy Dominic. He plays for the Minnesota Twins. He made it to the big show. So he started at Utica and he made it to, he actually did a really good job. I haven't kept up with him. I think I heard last he was maybe injured. Don't quote me, but
okay.
But
we'll look into it.
Yeah, he made it to the big show, and that was like our huge claim to fame. And there was actually one more player as well for the Orioles this past year, but I'm drawing a blank on his name. But he also made it. He was a short stint in Utica, but he also made it. So
a lot of these guys that are coming are these kids that have been playing college baseball, and they're kind of undrafted picks.
Yep.
They didn't make the draft, the cut on the draft pick, so they're looking for another avenue to play, and make themselves known to the major league teams.
Absolutely. Yep. A lot of them, I mean, all of them play college ball. There have been a few who actually have been drafted at some point and they got released. And so this is kind of like their second chance at one more shot per se at that. And there are scouts at the games usually. I mean, every weekend there's actually usually a scout there at least once a weekend, if not more. So lots of opportunities for these guys. I know there's quite a few actually right now who have the talent. I think they're just, every time I tell them, I say, I'm so sad I'm seeing you again this week. I don't want you to go, but I want you to go.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think there's a really important role, and I wrote a couple articles the last few years about it, but for independent baseball, because I mean, there was the Mets, David, they drafted Kumar Rocker this year, right? Kumar Rocker was a star pitcher with Vanderbilt 2 years ago. Got drafted by the Rangers. I don't know exactly. There was a story where they didn't get signed. They couldn't come to an agreement. I don't know if he had injuries or what it was. He gets released from the Mets, goes and plays independent ball.
Yep.
And gets drafted again this year by the Mets. 2 years in a row he's drafted. And so there's got to be that extra, that other place to play, right? So if you're not in a major league system, and you still want to play baseball and compete and get back into it. I think independent ball fills that role very nicely.
100%. And these guys have the passion. They go out with that intensity of this could be the game that gets me out. You know, they have that great competitor mentality, and they're sticking to it. It's fun baseball up in Utica. Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
Can I ask a question? When you're in these games, what is your day-to-day? Like, what are you assigned to different teams when you arrive? Like, what is your process throughout the game?
Yeah, so I try to stay up on all 4 teams, and so I at least know I don't do every single home game. That's a lot of home games or games. But when I get to the field, usually I will before the gates open, I'll sit down and I'll interview some players before the game as the crowds kind of gather, waiting for the gates to open. So either some just players who might not get as much attention, you know, maybe they're some, you know, relief pitchers, or not like your, you know, star center fielder or your star starting pitcher. So some of the guys who maybe are a little bit more in the background, I'll bring them on and we'll just kind of chat some baseball about the team, what's going on, and just kind of get to know them so fans can see them and they're like, oh, that's the guy that was at the front desk earlier. Yeah, he's out there. So that's kind of how I start my day at Jimmy John's. And then just throughout the day or throughout the game, there's different promotions that I'll do just for sponsors. And then by the end of the game, I always have a player of the game. So we'll chit chat a little bit and kind of talk about, you know, what went well for them in the game and just moving forward. And we're starting now to get towards the last month of play. We end on this year, September 11th. And so the teams are kind of really kicking it into gear. And so it's really fun and exciting. But that's pretty much what I do each game. But you never know. Some days I get a Gatorade shower. Another day, one player literally like swooped me away, so I didn't get another Gatorade shower because I didn't know they were sneaking behind me. But the guys are really, really fun, and so they make my job a lot easier because they love to chit chat and all that. So they make it fun.
I think you're the perfect fit for Legends on Deck because we are always looking for that star that no one knows about.
Yeah.
You know, someone that no one knows that they even exist, and we write about them and we put them on a platform, and oh wow, and then all of a sudden he may make the majors. Oh look, we found one.
That's right. So. That's right.
Yeah, that my question about United Shore. So they have a streaming, right?
Yes.
They do stream their games somewhere.
Yes, we really upped the streaming game, like the whole entire universe, because of COVID.
Sure.
So we really, so 2020, obviously for us at Utica, we managed to still play baseball. Mm-hmm. It was a little delay, and I know for me, I didn't even start going back to games until it was mid-July. So it was super late. And when I came back, though, they rallied and they got a camera crew. We hired some analysts, some local play-by-play analyst guys, and now they just do it all the time now. And they have a YouTube channel so people can tune in. And when we had the 2020 season, I think we had people all over the United States. The stats were kind of astronomical, surprisingly. A lot of people watched, and it was actually really, really fun for us to see that progress. That kind of was the starting point, and now they've upped their game a little bit more even from when we started that channel back 2 years ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so you're going with it. That's awesome. As you
That's
go
right. Yeah. Hopefully they don't forget me, right?
Absolutely. What do you think's different about covering baseball maybe versus covering other sports that you've?
Baseball, I like it. It's you know, it's a little bit slower. You kind of have time to watch. I mean, it's slow at times and picks up, but to really kind of watch and analyze. Like when I covered Oakland University basketball, it was just so quickly paced. Basketball is just so fast paced, and just when you write something down, something else happens. And then I liked watching basketball, but I didn't know basketball. I felt like I know baseball more, so I know the rules, and it's easy for me to follow along. And compared to other sports where it's like, this is so fast that I missed something. Like what number is that out there? Like what's going on? So and yeah, like I think, like I said, my ties with the Tigers really helped me love the game of baseball. So I think that love carries over to since I like it so much, it makes it easy to cover. And basketball was super fun. I liked it, but it was just a lot more quick pace, high pressure.
I see your point on that, because like I've thought about this from we talked to a radio broadcaster from one of the minor league teams down here, Justin Rock with the Daytona Tortugas, in one of our previous episodes. And we talked about listening to baseball on the radio, and it's a game that you could call on the radio. And even on, broadcast television, like you said, with basketball particularly, you've got to be quick. It's got to be, there's no like conversational stuff going on.
Right.
You listen to a baseball game, and I mean, I watched that the Field of Dreams game the other night.
Yeah.
And they had Johnny Bench on, and they're having a good conversation with him, and John Smoltz is telling good stories, and it was just like, there's so much conversation that you could pack into a baseball game, and so many interesting stories. Even I would imagine from an in-game host, you've got in between innings to go talk to people.
And it's really fun too. Like, even when I sit with those players out at the desk, I try to get to know them a little bit more on a personal level as well. Like, how did their love of baseball start, and just try to talk to them a little bit more too, to hear their stories, so I can share their stories later on somewhere else. And so 2020, I was on the broadcast a little bit more, and I was able to share some of their stories, which has been great. And even so, a lot of their parents, come and watch, and I randomly will find them in the stands, and we just kind of talk, and they just talk. I get to hear their stories, how they've watched them, from little league till now, and they're just so proud. And it just kind of just brings it all back together. Like, this is more than a game, and families are involved. It's great to hear their stories of how they started into where they are today, and their passion and love. That's why I love baseball. I'm sure every sport does have their story, but I feel like baseball, there's just a little bit more to it.
It's a national pastime. It's the best game around, It
really is. And a lot of people, I teach high school, and they're like, baseball is so boring. How do you go to the games? I'm like, it's not boring. I go, every game, every sport, no matter what you do, there are like lulls in every game, but baseball, there are great baseball moments, and that, you can be down by 5 one inning, and then the next you're winning by 5. You can make a massive comeback. Anything can happen. And that's what I truly love baseball. Like, with the Tigers, there's so many countless memorable baseball moments that I witnessed, and those are the ones that will have stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, the moments, like the other day I was watching the Rockies have Winton Bernard, I think is his name, and he spent 10 years in the minor leagues.
Yes.
And he came up, and it's a weird base hit that he got, but he beat it out. They called him out. Then they overturned the call safe. His mother's just like, they're all going crazy. You love that. And I actually caught the video of when he announced to his mom that he made it to the majors.
Yes,
someone recorded that. Oh my God, the heartstrings. And you're like, it's amazing. And
Cheers.
You may see that in different sports, but I think baseball is just because how long it takes to get to the pros.
Yeah.
Football and basketball, you could probably go like the D League and go right in, or football is like college and you go right in as you play the semi-pro, whatever. But I think baseball, some guys stay there forever, and they're not getting paid hardly anything. And when they make it, it's just like, oh my God, like that next level, it's amazing.
That video was so touching. I loved it. But yeah, like you said, I mentioned my husband, he played college ball at Central. He got drafted, and he was at different teams, and he made it to the highest he made it to was AA. And then, he got released, but he did indie ball. He went to Australia for a hot second. So he worked so hard, and, he has a friend who actually did make it, but it's a grind, and he'll talk about it every spring training that rolls around, and just, he'll sit there and talk about the hard work, and he replays all like different scenarios. Like, well, what if I did this differently or this differently? Like, would my path still be the same? Or I said, you would never have met me, so we're going to keep it the way it is. but
you can always say to him, because I have a lot of friends in the game, and a lot of guys that didn't make it, and they'll go around and say, I play professional ball. They did. They play professional baseball. Now,
100%.
whatever level that is, a lot of guys will die to just get drafted out of high school, get drafted out of college. So to say that you got there, you played double A it's a high level. I mean, no matter what it is you played, you experienced it. I mean, the dream of going all the way didn't happen, but he got a lot higher than most guys. So that's a big accomplishment.
That's what I tell him all the time. Yeah. So
I mean, I want to hear that, but
I know. He's like, yeah, I know.
Well, you could always channel that passion into other aspects to the game too.
100%.
We've been talking to coaches, a lot of coaches, and they're like, these guys are like, I could see that they like view the kids they're coaching as like the next, like they might have not made it, but they think they can groom a guy that can make it. They could coach a guy that can make it, and that's almost like them making it.
Yep, it's like they took a little piece with them.
Right.
Well, I'm at the lower level of coaching, so the little kids I have.
So you guys can make it to high school. Yeah, you can get them into high school.
They make high school. I'm ecstatic. Like my son played a little bit of high school. He played a couple years. He's a wrestler now, but it was ecstatic that he got to high school. So it was like I did my job, and then my younger one tells me, Dad, I want to go further. I'm like, okay, I'll get you to high school. After that, it's up to you.
After that, I'll be in the stands cheering you on.
So we kind of started this new with you. Okay, so we're gonna ask you a fun question. Okay,
I love it.
All right, something different, just kind of lighten up a little bit. But even though it's been light, it's been a great conversation. But if you can interview any player, past or present, one, who would it be? And then two, what would you ask them?
Ooh. Okay, so I thought about this one a lot, and it's tricky. I'm gonna have to go. I know it's kind of he's a big guy, big leaguer, but Max Scherzer, only because there's a moment, and I replayed this in my head. It was the 2014 ALDS, and we were playing Oakland A's, and he was in the bullpen. And we were at the game. We did not know he was in the bullpen. So he got called in, and so he came out. We were in trouble. We weren't doing too hot, so they brought him out of the bullpen, and so it was so electric in there. But the moment that I would like to ask him is basically what was going through your head, because it was the 7th inning. It was all tied up. This is like do or die situation. Bases were loaded, and he struck them out. And the scream, and there's a picture. I'm sure you might know what I'm talking about, of him just screaming and yelling. I mean, we matched his energy, but describe that moment from your perspective, because I would love to hear what he would have to say, because that is a moment that when people ask me, even what's your favorite moment from being at the Tigers or just being in baseball, and that's my go-to, because it was unreal being at Comerica Park that night. So I think I'd definitely Max Scherzer, that particular moment, what's through your head, and just the fans, just bring it to life from your perspective.
Well, that's awesome, and I'm glad you picked him.
Yeah, because he's on the Mets now. Yeah,
and every time he pitches, I'm just like in awe, like, oh my God, this guy's amazing.
I knew my audience too coming in, but yeah. No, that was great. That's the dream interview.
Well, that's it's a good pick too, because you were part of that environment. Yeah. So I think that makes a lot of sense. That would be good. So I want to see that you're a Michigan State alumni.
Yes, I am. Go Green.
And you said you grew up going to Michigan games at the Big House.
I did.
How did your dad take that?
Oh my gosh. So it's actually funny. So my dad is still diehard Michigan fan. Yeah. My mom though went to Michigan State. And okay. He married a Sparty, he knew, and then my brother went to Michigan. So we were true house divided.
That's perfect then. It's all
yeah. And I do admit, every year for his birthday's right in the middle of football season, I put on some Michigan gear and I go to a game with him. So that's his birthday present.
Oh, that's a nice daughterly thing to do.
Yeah. So even though when I was at Michigan State, I got him a Michigan State dad hat, and he wore it begrudgingly with a Michigan sweatshirt during bowl season one time, and that's it. And I think he threw it out. It's long gone.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Well, Chelsea, we had a great conversation with you. This is really, really, we look forward to seeing the things that you're going to do
in
sports media and baseball. very interesting story, and we really appreciate your time today.
It's just really fun. I love sharing my story. Lets me relive all these great memories and accomplishments. And so thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
We wish you well, and we hope
Thank
that
you.
this goes on to big and better things for you. And one day you'll be, like I say,
Somebody will be looking back and they say, wow, she was on Legends on Deck a long
Yeah, and it's not a
Fingers
big
crossed.
game for the Mets or the Yankees, whatever team it
That's
is,
right.
and you're doing great.
Hey, if you know anyone at the Mets, maybe slip on my name. That would be an all-time dream. So I'm still hustling. I still, that's to get called up to the big leagues. That's still ultimate goal. I've been really close, so that's right.
All right, Chelsea Cooper, in-game host for the United Shore Professional Baseball League. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.